It's Spencer Hughes on Hughes from the Heart, and this is our debut segment here. Now, James thinks that he's going to be first. He's still scrambling, trying to download Skype, while Kathy came in for first place. She's our first one. Touchdown, Kathy! Okay, so Kathy is a friend on Facebook, and actually, she just reminded me of an interesting story here of being a caller way back in my KFBK days. That would have been around 1996 to 2000-ish, somewhere around there. And we actually, this all comes together now, Kathy's son was the gentleman who adopted our cat in the Sacramento area, Dr. Sparkles, when we had to find Dr. Sparkles a new home. And that was such a funny name, too. Kathy, welcome to Hughes from the Heart. Thanks for being my debut friend here to join on this exclusive segment. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Is Dr. Sparkles okay? Do you know?
She's doing just fine, and her new name is Fiona.
Fiona, okay, yeah. And I figured,
Fiona, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those names that you have to change it at that point. You know what I mean? You can't just call a cat Dr. Sparkles unless you're the one who named him Dr. Sparkles.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, and be sure to say hi to your son for me.
I will.
So, Kathy, we've been friends on Facebook a long time, and you've been a listener for a long time, and I could never imagine, this happening, this whole coronavirus thing, and we hear about these viruses all the time hitting other parts of the world. They don't generally turn into pandemics. They don't generally come to our shores. It's always something we think of maybe as a third world illness or something that'll get somebody else but not us. And now it's here, and it's changing everything that we do. It's changed everything. I just found out this morning that my brand new job I started 3 days ago is non-essential, and I don't know when I'm going to be back to work for that. And it's just total uncertainty. It's total chaos. It's almost like a bad dream. And I'm doing this segment to hear from people like you that can explain to me how you're going through it, your feelings, your emotions, how maybe your family's dealing with it and things like that. So tell us, you don't have to say exactly where, but geographically, where are you located? You're still in the Sacramento area?
I live in Galt now. We moved from Elk Grove a year ago.
Okay, Galt's a beautiful area. So you were under lockdown before we were by a few days, I think, or maybe by a week, and Governor Newsom there kind of shutting everything down, and then the shelter in place. That started in the Bay Area, but that has now extended to even your area and up and down California. Is that correct,
right.
The shelter in place?
Right. Yep, that's what we're doing. And there's 3 of us in the house. It's my 83-year-old mother who has many health concerns, and my 66-year-old husband and myself.
And how's everybody dealing with this? Just a typical day. Is it just, are you stir crazy? Are you guys ready to eat each other? Are you getting along okay? How are things going?
It's difficult because we can't do anything. It's, you have to get into hazmat gear when you want to go out. And my husband is mostly going out and doing the errands that need to be done, such as grocery shopping or trying to find essentials that people need. My mom just had double cataract surgery 3 weeks ago. So she had to shelter in place regardless.
Right.
And me, I'm 57 next month, and
happy early birthday.
Been sewing cloth masks for people.
Wow,
and
that's
I donated
fantastic.
30 to a clinic here in Galt, and 41 just finished those yesterday to Sutter General Hospital.
That's fantastic.
So it's
that's really
just something that I just felt like I had to do something. And I'm normally, I sew a lot. A lot. And I had the fabric, I had the elastic, I had everything that I needed. And I just felt like I had to do something. During World War II, my grandmother was a foreman in Alameda shipyards, and She was the boss. And I thought, what would my grandma do? And so I thought, you know what, get this stuff out, figure out, and try to help everybody that I can. So
that's such a noble thing to do. Doing. It's such a wonderful thing. Thank you for doing
Actually,
that.
Please don't say that, because I don't think it's noble. I think it's something that needs to be done. And there's nobility in trying to help your fellow man.
That's a beautiful way of saying it.
It's just something that you need to do. And it's like, if you see somebody that's struggling, you try to help them as best you can. And I would never, ever take a penny for anything that I've done, because I don't believe in that. I believe in paying life forward as best I can.
That's a beautiful thing.
And I don't have... I don't have anything else to give people, because if somebody needed money, there's nothing that they can buy with it right now. They need these supplies. I have a neighbor that has 3 children that she was running really low on toilet paper, and we had extra. And so I gave it to them. And my children, two of my children, my son lives here in Clancy, he lives here in Sacramento. But my two daughters, they live in Australia. And my oldest, who lives in Perth, she could not find any. They do have some. I mean, we're talking minuscule one-ply rolls. And so yesterday I shipped 5 double rolls to both my daughters in Australia.
Wow,
cost
that's
an arm and a
fantastic.
leg, but you have to do what you have to do.
The whole toilet paper thing is really incredible to me, and the whole hoarding thing, Kathy. I get that people do weird things when they're distressed, and I'm trying to give people the benefit of the doubt, but I couldn't get my first 12-pack for my family, and we were running out. I mean, it wasn't a matter of hoarding for us; we needed it. I couldn't get it for the first 7 days, maybe 10 days that the whole run started on the toilet paper, and even to this day, I'll go to Safeway, I'll go to Walmart, I'll go to stores, and if I don't go right first thing in the morning when I know the shipment's coming, the shelves are still bare of this stuff. And I don't know how we went millions of years without toilet paper. I always remind people somehow mankind figured out how to do their number 2 without the luxury of toilet paper.
Well, you have to improvise as best you can. And if you can't find what you're looking for besides asking neighbors if they, or friends or family, if they have extra, improvise with what you have. I mean, the whole joke years ago was the Sears catalog in the outhouse.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I love that catalog.
A piece of that.
I love that catalog. I never had to use it for that, but man, can you imagine by today's standards, if you did everything adjusted for inflation, that thing would cost, if Sears hadn't been going out of business, that would have put them out of business printing that thing. That costs a lot of money to send that thing out.
Yeah.
One thing I'm finding interesting, too, is how toilet paper is like worth its weight in gold. There's all sorts of humor coming out of this, luckily. And I think humor is important in crisis. And that's why a lot of comedians, you know, it turns out when they pass away or something horrible happens to them, self-inflicted or otherwise, we realize that they lived kind of tortured lives because out of a lot of pain comes comedy, I think. The humorous thing coming out of the whole toilet paper thing is that people are joking that that's how they're going to tip the babysitter. That's the kind of tip they're going to leave somebody. Or like if somebody you need to pay somebody, you'll give them a pack of toilet paper, and that's worth like its weight in gold now.
Well, it's like a long time ago, people used shells for money.
Yeah, it's a new currency.
So you just have to do what you have to improvise. You know, somebody put a picture of, like I say, call them memes. I'm old. Yeah. A picture of somebody saying that Party City had toilet paper in all colors, and it was a roll of streamer. Crepe paper.
That's pretty funny.
On a toilet. Yeah, I mean, you'd hope that you don't have to resort to that, but just it's going to come back. I mean, we just literally went to the grocery store. No, there wasn't. Yes, there was not toilet paper on the shelves, but there was plenty of water.
Yes.
And you just have to not panic. Panic and stressing isn't going to help you except raise your blood pressure. You have to take things in stride, and you have to look at the funny side of it, thinking, where are these people stashing all this stuff in their houses?
Yeah, it's true.
Can they get their car in the garage any longer?
Well, I'm wondering if people can eat it. I started wondering if it was an edible source of protein or something, eating toilet paper. But even my dogs, I have a yellow lab that'll eat my arm if it's hungry enough, but he won't eat this. He won't eat toilet paper.
I know. Where's Yul Gibbons' advice when we need it? You know, you can eat anything.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Well, Kathy, what do you think? How does this look to you? I just saw snippets of the governor of Washington, and I'm not trying to date the podcast too much because I don't want to say things too specific, but I will in this case because he just spoke a couple of hours ago. And now, sure enough, I'm getting my confidence and my mojo that I might be off work a couple of weeks. And of course, today he announces on day 1 of my staycation here at home that it may be longer than 2 weeks. He doesn't know. He's saying he has to leave it open for 3-4 weeks, maybe. He doesn't know. And he has to know at some point, and I understand the terrible position he and other leaders are in, both Republicans and Democrats. But the thing here is the people who are passing these laws and making these decisions largely, some of them are, you know, truck drivers on the side, and some of them have, you know, livings that they make like everybody else in honest living and stuff. But a lot of them are full-time politicians that have $100 million in the bank, and they don't care if this goes on. What do they care? I mean, they're still at work. They're still passing this legislation. But for them to look at us on the TV and say, you might not be back to work for a while, sorry, at what point is long enough? How long do you see this going?
Dad, I don't have a crystal ball that works. I always say that mine's in the shop and it's broken beyond repair. But you can't be afraid because, again, it's just going to cause more internal problems for yourself. You can't mess with your fellow man. You have to help them. I don't know when this is going to get back to normal. I hope that it's going to be somewhat normal, but it's not ever going to be the same. People wearing gloves to the grocery store, they should do that. people wearing masks out. You should do that. Anything to protect yourself. But just think of it as riding a wave. You have to make sure you get up to the top. We don't know when that crest is going to happen, but eventually it is going to smooth out. And that's all you can hope for.
It's true. Do you see this being like, I hate that term, kind of new normal, but I'll use it here. Do you think, I mean, what I'm worried about is this precedent kind of has been set that every couple of years when there's a virus going around, we're going to shut everything down every time? I mean, are we just going to be expected to not have jobs for more than a year or two at a time because all industry is going to be shut down? Everyone's going to get fired. Everyone's going to have to reboot and reset. I mean, what do we do here?
I hope not. Remember with the crest, you have to just wait till we get up to that first. We can't jump ahead to what we don't know what's going to happen.
Sure.
And it doesn't matter if you have $5 in the bank or $5 million in the bank. If there isn't a product to buy because other people got to the store first, it doesn't matter how much money you've got or don't have. We just have to hope that everyone can get back to the relative normal.
Yeah.
And go forward. And if, the flu, the regular, flu virus that goes around kills lots of people. But this is just grown and blown out of proportion. And how to stop it, they don't know yet, except we can just shelter in place, keep washing your hands, make sure you wash the soles of your shoes, everything. Just stay clean. Everyone should be doing that anyways.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the hand sanitizer thing, especially, you wonder, like, people are buying it for the first time or something, I guess. I don't know. Now, off the air, if you will, you had mentioned kind of an analogy that really struck me as pretty profound. Do you remember what that was when you were saying that, like, you touch two people and then it moves on?
Right. You tell two friends and they tell two friends and so on and so on. And it's the same with touching people. If you touch someone, they're going to touch two people and those two people are going to touch another two people and it just keeps progressing.
Yeah, it really is. That's the way it works. And that's what I'm trying to do with these segments, honestly, is I want them to pass it along and I just want to hear as many stories as possible. And you are my first one here. I appreciate that, Cathi. And I hope we'll look at, one of these days I'll do number 50 and number 100. And I want to keep this segment going even beyond this. I don't want it to be just a pandemic thing, but I thought that it's a good time now because people are kind of self-isolating and being forced to isolate. And some people live with parents, some people live with families and kids, and other people live alone. And every day that goes by that they're not allowed to kind of interact in the real world, it's taking a toll on people's nerves and their sanity. And I'm telling you, a lot of folks are going to be in therapy for the next several years over all the fright and the anxiety over this and the stress and the economics of it and the bank accounts and all the investment shriveling away. All this stuff, people feel alone right now, by and large. And I wanted to do this segment just so people could get those stories off their chest and maybe know that other people are talking about the same stuff in their own world. So thanks for being a part of that.
And I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me on and thank you. And I just hope everybody stays safe and we'll all get through this together.
Absolutely. Cathi, thank you so much for being on Hughes from the Heart for this segment. Thank you.
Thank you.